Oh, and welcome back to Satisfactory. I am not sure where I left off because I have been beating my head against fluid mechanics for many days. I think where I left off was I had some of my ingredients coming back to the factory. I routed the silica and the copper, and then I said I'll be back with more done. Just to make sure things worked, I went up and I grabbed some of my bauxite, brought it down, and I have routed the bauxite for the bauxite train here. Underneath the floor, I've just merged my small bauxite supply into 3 lines. Now, what happened was we had the one slice of the aluminum factory, and it was using a head lift reset to merge the output with the input. And head lift reset failed miserably. As far as I can tell, despite all of the words everybody has ever said, these junctions, whether they're horizontal or vertical, if they have 2 pipes coming in that are full and 1 pipe going out that's not, they will take equally from the 2 full pipes, even if one of them is coming in from above. What this means is that if your recycled water is a third of your input supply, let's say you're doing refineries, and you're taking in 90 water and you're putting out 30, that works just fine because it'll do that 30. But if you're taking in 6 and putting out 5, it doesn't. All of the experimentation I did came up with that same thing. Horizontal, vertical, valves, pumps, what have you. If the 2 inputs were full, the output was half and half. Okay? Which is not what you want with the recycled water. With the recycled, what you want is if this guy is full, I want to take all from him no matter what's on the other one. So if that's true, then we need 300 here. So we split it down to 150 and 150. Well, we want to get 250 out of there. 150 isn't big enough, so we do it again. 150, we split 75 and 75. 75 and 50 is 225. That's still not enough, so we do it one more time. And half of 75 is 37 and a half. That gets us over the 250 limit. So at that point, we would have to have more. We're getting that much here because we have more in the fluid buffer. It will drain the fluid buffer, which is what we want. And of course, if we can't satisfy from this side, then this instead of doing its 37.5, it will rise to meet whatever level we're at up to its limit. And back here, what we have is one water extractor, which I have not overclocked. You can only do 120. We can't actually feed the entire array from this one without the recycled water. So that's point number 1. This one guy is actually big enough for 2 halves once everything is stable. I think for startup, we'll either overclock this during startup, or we'll just have one for each of them. We get a little extra. And this pipeline pump, I was surprised to find out that Mark 1 pumps can do 600 cubic meters a minute. That's okay. It's lower head lift. We don't need head lift here, so we're just going to do that. We are all dry. We are unprogrammed. So we're going to program these for instant scrap. I thought I was all dry here. Where did he get his water from? I don't know where he got that water. So let's try this again. Come you for instant scrap. What's going on? Okay, just a transient, I guess. That was weird how that ran up to 50,000. Never seen that before, not even in my experimentation. We are completely dry of water and ready to go. In the upper left-hand corner, you'll notice a little timer. I'm going to set that timer to start when I hook up this water, and we will check in on these guys and watch what happens. Now, because we only have a little bit of bauxite, we are going to be running this at a fractional rate. First, these 3 belts of bauxite are enough. If I was supplying them completely from rail, we run twice this size. So the first belt is 4 of them. The second belt is running 2. Currently, my bauxite supply is spread evenly across the 3, which means I'm going to be getting half of my bauxite supply on each of these in practice. This isn't flow. I'm getting 300 bauxite from the miner. So 150 bauxite split 2 ways here. So these guys, these 2 are going to be running at 50%, and these will be running at 25%. And they're going to start out a little faster because everybody starts full. But if we let it run for a while, we'll be good. I'm going to set that up. I've had a little bit of practice in starting the timer there. So we get that all set up. So a single click will start it. We go over to the timer and we say start, click here. And now we have the time in the upper left-hand corner. The water has been flowing to the bay. Now with that flowing, let's go over what I've got. First of all, the original blueprint not only had the water connected to the tube, but it had a through connector here, so the input and the output were connected. Those are gone. Secondly, when I built this, I initially stapled the input and the output in the back. Basic idea was we were doing mergeless, so we had the first machine coming from freshwater. All of the outputs came together, wrapped around, and fed all the inputs of all 5. That's the rule. So I have verified that this back staple is now gone. That was in there for a while. So all the inputs are tied together, all the outputs are tied together. Now, the theory of this now is we get our outputs in here through a valve to fluid buffer. You can also do this with the pump. I have been experimenting with this quite a lot. I've probably spent 10 hours just experimenting with what I can put out here to try to merge this together. And substituting a valve for the pump actually didn't make it work any less better, and I think maybe even reduced the amount of fluid in the buffer and so on, which makes sense. Everybody kept running. We're good. We have a little bit of pump, a little bit of water here, water in here, it's a little water in here, and these now flow in, combining with this water in whatever ratios necessary to keep water in there. As these crank up, we'll get more water coming out these, tapping through and around, and here we get what's going on here. As I said, all of my experiments with head lift reset and VIPs and so on that I was doing consistently every time, no matter what the orientation was. If two of my inputs were full and one was not, it consumed equal amounts from the two full inputs, even if one of the inputs was coming in from the top. So the priority aspect of junction with one leg vertical was not working for me when I built it here. So what did I end up with? Well, we want 300 per minute there. That feeds 50 per minute, 60 per minute over 360. I'm sorry, 360. 60 per minute across 6 of these. 300, just 360. We only want 60 coming in. We need 300 coming from. Well, another way of saying that is we have 5 coming out from each. 50 per minute. The 50 per minute by 6 is 300. So we need to get 300 per minute coming through here. And if I am running slower, everything needs to ratio back. But 300 per minute, I didn't have to be 150. 360 is 180, 180. That's not enough, so we do it again. So 90 and 90. So this is now 270 on these two together. That's still not enough, so we do it again. 45. So 270 and 45 is over our 300 number. So at this point, with 3 of these, where we're getting half of him from here and half of him from here, half of him from here, this will tend to drain the fluid buffer when it has fluid in it. If it drains it dry or nearly dry and the rates from these slow down, we'll start getting more from here. And it will stabilize when there's enough fluid here that we can source a total of 300 from here. That's steady state. We're now 5 minutes in. Everything should be steady state here. It should be full of water. Our outputs should be empty or emptying. And over the long run, we'll see these last 2 machines heading towards 50%, and these machines heading towards 25. It will take a while to get there because they did start out full of bauxite. It'll take a while before they stabilize. Similarly, on these guys, these banks should be running at 25%, and these should be running at 50. There was an error in my blueprint. This is actually a new blueprint that you didn't see before. The blueprint that I was using before had all of my belts pulled up and wrapped through this blank area here, which was kind of cool, and it was kind of compact. It was kind of neat, but it was kind of not like the rest of my factory. So I have rebuilt it so that these belts are all now pushed back under the subfloor. Where they're an absolute mess, but they don't cross, they don't clip, they're just there, and they're merging. And it's the same mechanism I used for the assemblers, where I have input flowing from this direction into a splitter, which sends half of it here, and this splitter just sends all of it up. There's boom, boom. This takes from the, so I've got these coming together like this, okay? And then it's just 4 splitters on the left, getting fed by 2 splitters, getting fed by 1 splitter, getting fed by, and this is just a normal 4-to-1 output. So merge these 2 to here, those 2 to there, merge that one and that one to here, and take the same general organization as the assemblers. Assemblers are what I had before, just with the extra foundations removed. The assemblers are not improved by raising the foundations. Obscures this octagonal aspect. Guys, builds in a bunch of stuff down here that's kind of interesting. So assemblers and foundries structures and smelters, those will all just have this lower floor. The upper floor will be used for things like the blender and the refinery and the generator, where there really is 3 full foundations worth of just framework that I can hide. See, that's just framework. I can put that below. The fluid buffer should be kept pretty low. So with only two legs of this, the fluid buffer slowly fills up, and when it fills up, you deadlock. And that even happens with the industrial fluid buffer. It takes longer to fill. With just one leg, the industrial fluid buffer took about an hour to overflow. So yeah, so if you only want to run this for an hour, fine. You can still see that I still have my old signs at the edge here. I'm going to move those so we can see the signs again. This is just a specialty fluid management plate. When I double the size of the factory, I will need to take this and bring it down along the side, because we send another 60 down to this guy. I do not relish the idea of having 12 machines on one loop. Basically, with 12 machines, we instead of having, well, this instead of being 360 would be 720, so would not supply all of it. So we're going to take from before this, we're going to duplicate it now. Coming up on 10 minutes. See that this percentage is seeking down towards 25% as it's dealing with the fact that we no longer have a full load of bauxite. Speaking of which, toss all of the bauxite and coal, other crapola into the recycler. Stuff that I'm not going to need. Go. This is all running off of the single bauxite node that I using for the prototype factory. A normal bauxite node, totally overclocked, feeds one of these. Okay, so we're at 1/3 capacity. Desperately to go get a train out there and pick up quite a lot more bauxite. But it should all fit in the three guy. I may do more than one train depending on where the bauxite is. We know it's scattered all over the map. Need more than one train. If we can't get enough in a train, it takes the train to do the whole circuit. We'll just have to have more than one train. And one way of doing that is to have different trains going to different destinations out there, coming back and dropping at the same place. I'm headed up here because we had a doggo. I've released him from his little cage. I don't know where he got off to. He gave me some cool stuff. Different one. I can tame him too. I might. Berries in. Where did I toss some berries? Nope. Okay, I can't tame a doggo. You're running 300 per minute. You are on a normal node. So our total factory would take the equivalent of 6 normal nodes. Getting closer and closer to being able to take down our sky power. The silica have enough of a factory that we could be using half of the station capacity of silica, which would be all of the capacity of the other guy at the other end. We need to double our silica net. We're only using 1/3 of that as bauxite. So our critical problem here is bauxite. We may also be running low on coal. So 24%. We are at 14 minutes. Not 20%. 25%. 64 and 64. So these guys will settle down 50 and 50. So what can I do while I am waiting for this to finish up? Probably not a whole lot. I do have a prayer this evening. We can at least look, though. I have simplified my map by turning off a bunch of things. Turn on just bauxite. Yeah. Here's where the bauxite is. My idea is we have this train going south. I want to wrap it around and come back up to here. Got a normal node, impure node. 2 normal nodes would bring us up to being able to run half our factory. Pure, impure. There's a pure node. So maybe what we want to do, head west. We have 1 pure nodes right there. That's sweet. We could have a train for each one of those. We just need to get rail headed over that way. We need to head rail that way. So are we looking at a new rail? I think we're looking at a new rail station. I think we're looking at routing our bauxite out of here in a different direction. I keep looking that way. I don't think so. I think what I might have to do is just build the bauxite station over here somewhere. Have it facing that way. Build it parallel to this guy and have it make a turn. I could just put it in here. Yeah, put it in here and have the rail going straight out. Go to the right and make a turn. Yeah, well, I'm going to have to go high anyway. Let's take it out that way. Can drive so along this foundation would be incoming. We loop in and around. Okay, let's get started on that. A concrete slab with power. Want something that looks kind of like that. Connect them. Have a chainsaw and tidy him. So we're going to come in here, make the turn, going to go back that way, and the station will be here. The unloading on the left will go back this way, drop it down and provide it. So the extent. So here, put it that way, some arbitrary distance. Oops, I forgot I was going to do power, wasn't I? Well, I've been starting to think when I got the 4x, I can bring it to a center peg. That's actually fairly nice. This may become a 4x, so I'm going to put it in a center peg. I don't know about the rest. I didn't think I was going to be too low. I'm pretty close here. Yeah. A couple of these that somehow got marked. You unmark them is by doing that, getting them officially marked, and then killing the mark, and it does work. One piece of this, are we up? And our other rail is going to be going out here. Fine. He's going to step over one and over one. Let's see it. At an angle here and out. I always get everything set up with straight pieces first, so that the ends of my curves are aligned perfectly. Now we need to build our station in here somewhere. We need 3 cars, so there's 1 unloader, 2 unloaders. That's going to be 3 unloaders there. You need boring. That's the one. One, two. Unloading stations. That's where our main station will be. And from here we take off. And we're going to come to the edge here. That's where we would want to have... We start sloping up here, that's where you'd want to slope up. Now, where do we want the brakes in this line? all the way out to the front of the station? We can. Cool. Train station. So I need to rename the other train station away from what it is so I can reuse that name. I don't know what I'm going to put in here. We may reuse this space for bringing in either coal or sulfur or both. LBD drop. Locomotive is now called BD. And if he ends up providing us with coal and sulfur, we will need to rework all of that. We need to think how many wagons he's got, whether I do coal and sulfur in one fetch or not. So, great platform. That. And this needs to be our, well, bauxite. It's a 3-to-3 mix, isn't it? Because I have stations, but I want, in theory, I want any belt to be able to get its full bandwidth from anything else. So we're looking for something that looks like this. Compressed some, maybe compressed a lot. Where are we? I think in the interest of making things work simply, I am not going to do the 3-to-3 balancer. What I'm going to do is each rail car will feed one of the belts, and each belt will feed 1/3 of the ending factory. This does mean that we're going to be inefficient. But I'm going to put you guys one right next to the other. Put you right here. Boom. That is center you on here and on so these here we have 3 bauxite lines. And it'll be too long, so let's do the top one. Just what is it? I think I didn't run my power out to 10. That would have been a fortunate mistake. Oh, that does do it. I named those guys over there. Yeah, old Bauxite. So we've now been running for almost half an hour. I'll check these again. 49. 49s. These are converging on their expected rates. We've got casings being produced, and they're going to the station. The station is full of casings, so they are ending up going into sinks. Have a whole bunch of coupons in it. Are on the road to getting our coupons for our bet. Guys, how that happens. So if I redirect these over, providing my input to my factory, I lose the fact that I've got some bauxite coming in. So we're going to wait until I have a train running and we have some supplies here. Then I will just shift it over to the real bauxite supply. So from here, the first is we're going to start off with our turn use of the white arrow points toward me. I need to connect power to, so this power tower now has main grid power on. I have updated him to include these guys, and I did not put signals in. I'm going to do that. Do that. Blueprint. Right. Cheap track. 5-long cheap track with tower and tube. But I didn't want that one. 5-long plus everything. Mounts and tower, E2. Fancy, but I forgot to put in, like I said, box signals. There. So now if I only wanted 1 block per power tower, I'd be done. If I want 2 blocks per power tower, I have to arrange for a split in the rail between the power towers at a good spot. Turns out that with this much, and the rails separated by the normal amount, or the towers separated by my normal amount, this is pretty much a full length, trimmed back to be in the middle of one of these. Oh, and you need 2 foundations worth here, or starting it up or starting it down. Save blue. And this actually needs to be, this edge needs to be a 1 deep slab to clip on. So we're going to get rid of the foundation that way. loop this. This is not a blueprint. And roll this around, lines up perfectly. This power is power for the lights. It's not power for anything else. So that goes on a light controller, which I'm not going to hook up at the moment. That power. This also needs to be on a power switch. I'm going to leave that for the moment. Since what I want to do is just get this going. I want to start climbing. I'm going to hope that I can climb up above that butte there. Blueprint. And right orientation. Now if I just try to put the next one out, it's going to do that to me. So I need to use my spacer. As long as I connect up the power. Oh, I do need to connect that initial power. That's the power that allows me to use my cover. This does need to be hooked up. Let's get this. Power switch. This needs to be a light switch. Light control panel. One. There. Lights are on at full intensity. I'm going to set them to red because this is not ready to go yet. Under construction. Racer. Air ramp. Racer. And that. This one is a little different because it has the connections for the hypertubes and the connections for and I can rip out all of the spacers in bulk coming back. Lights should be red. Wonder if I have to. Ooh, I am not going to make it up there. Okay, we need to turn here. Fine. I'm also going to tap that light controller. Apparently, it doesn't set the color of the lights as you add the lights. This light is set. I don't think that one. Yep. Okay, so when I add new power connections up there, I'm going to leave the hypertube connections and the deletion of stuff for later. Until I just want to run some track right now. So we want a thin slab end here. Allows me to come in and drop in there. Power. Get so the white arrow points towards me. This is just going to be a curve. So we need to There's some extra work I can do here to make this look nice. Just want to get the rails going. Let's take it out that way for another standard length. I'm going to continue to rut. 7. Oh. Yeah. Power up. Is there 6? Need to wait for concrete. So normally before I start running rail, I go back to my main base and I fill up on like several thousand concrete. While we're waiting, I can start fiddling around with getting the rails in place. Now there's some fiddly bits, which are basically taking these and doing two. What we want to do is make sure that they are appropriately here. So take this, run him up to this point. Try to go further, it doesn't quite reach, so stop here. That's going to go up to. Now with those in place, like this. So these are the transitions from level to climbing. Put in the clock signals here. So there. You do them in that order. End up with these rails on the slope lying flat. Nice curve there. Everything else lies flat in the groove. If I just took this and stretched it out by 2 to here, it might not end up lying flat. So it's best to do the parts that are completely flat. See why I really like having the hover pack when I'm doing this. Clock signal goes here and more than enough. We haven't refilled the concrete completely. We've got enough to continue it. I'm going to use my 8 button to get my thin concrete slab here. I need it more often than I thought I would need it. Whoops. Thank you for reminding me that I needed city. Trying again. Concrete slab goes out here. We're going to put the turn on top of the slab. Need to get rid of it. I might not even need to get rid of it. Let's see what it looks like. I can leave that tree there. I'm going to do that. Remember to power this time. Should now have main power. It does not, so somewhere along the line we forgot main power. I'm just going to continue building this. I have a prior commitment. We'll leave this recording while I do it because somebody might get a kick out of seeing how I make my decisions about rail. I don't know. You now have main power. Now you'll notice that our power requirements are going up as I increase this to the point where I'm getting a little worried because we are running our aluminum factory full tilt right now. When that timer gets to an hour, I will head back and I will evaluate the factory, make sure everybody is still at their 50 and 100% marks, and then I'm going to stop syncing its output so that it doesn't keep doing that forever. So we are here. And one of the bauxite nodes is dead ahead, impure node. Their box, this is sulfur, sorry, sulfur. We are way north of our bauxite nodes. I need to turn south. Turn south as soon as I can get clearance to get above there. But that's the one I've claimed. Yeah, we're way north of where we go. I'm going to go one more power to that way, and then I'm going to head off that way. We can fill things in. Our train stations are actually fairly large, so I'm not too worried about precise placement. Do I need to go higher? I think I need to go. Yeah, let's continue up. see how quick that goes. Imagine doing this out blue. Slug. Oh. This is the next power. And I am once again low on concrete. Gotta make sure I've got power down there before I go get the bug. Hello, Mr. Slug. I'm the daddy. So, sulfur. Building a sulfur tree. So that all that time we spent building stuff, we were able to then finish up quite a lot of this. A tracker going back down. There. Go back down to the bottom. Well, let's go top to bottom on this. We need to remove these forms from underneath. That'll actually get us a whole bunch of concrete, by the way. These are just some minimum size walls that are set up to rough out the bounding gap full. Underneath, downside of doing this is that you get too low, lose your hover, and you fall away from your energy source. The upside is I can target these things I want to get. But be very careful. I do. Let's change the tick depot from first, so that we tend to start refilling the depot sooner. I'm going to start putting in fiber tubes. Full time to or concrete. Still haven't worked out how I'm going to handle paper tubes at junctions in. I'm not even really sure that this is how I want to handle it. Have something in here. Have a little more of a corner-ish thing to the hyper tube. So, elephant in the room I'm not talking. Factorio. I've done a lot of Factorio. So why am I not supporting Factorio right now? Well, I'll tell you why. I'm not one of these people that jumps on new thing the moment it comes out. I don't pre-order games. I don't jump on anything that if it's an absolutely DLC huge version upgrade, I don't jump on that right away to be one of the first streamers out there on it. I don't like debugging other people's code. They've spent 40 years doing exactly that. I'm retired. I don't do that anymore. So I am letting other people discover any of the warts. And when we've got a little more maturity on Oreo 2.0 and space age stuff, then I will turn to, and you will see a really long series, because I start Factorio, you know I'm not going to with my sheets. So we need to fill up on copper sheets next time we're down. So copper sheets and concrete are our two things that we want to carry. Hey, we are above Ray. Ray. I see power over. Oh, that's uranium. Back later. Oh, I do have my hazmat suit. I should try out my hazmat. Hop in. Seen this before. Some things just cause this to go back. Yep. Here. Thing on top of it. Thing on top. Oh, but there's a sphere up there. Okay. Don't seem to be having any trouble finding Mercer spheres and power slugs. They're not all over the place. They are there. I want to get last things. Just wait for the copper sheets. They're probably there by now. I have some tidy up that I do for the corners. It's kind of fiddly. They're not outside of recording. Go from here. Where's my bauxite? 800 meters there is the one. 52 that way. Kilometer that way. So that way. So we want to come directly south. And I think I've got to come some. So south of my existing If we can go south from here, they want to go a little higher. I think I need higher. Let's toss a turnaround on this for now, though, because we are running close. Oh, the concrete time, we're good. So let's do our turnaround. We're going to come forward to directly straight forward. We're going to go forward 2 and this way by 1. That. We're going to go away and that. That's right, these don't have power on. I need power. Like, temporary. Could have been the. I did. Oh. I'm going to go forward 2. I'm going to make that turn. This turn. I'm going to go 90-degree turn. Here. Comes forward. Let's check this. Comes forward. Here. Come forward. Center there. Got it. Same thing over here. Come to the center of this guy. Gonna turn to the right a little bit. Back to. Okay, let's come up. Perfect. And this stall one block, that's fine. Let's take the train back. Oh, I didn't plug in the power to the train station. Oh, silly of me. I can do it instead. Have my It's only a little bit slower. Okay, get your own power switch. Your power switch. I'm going to come down on that line. There. Turn you so I can see your cable. Under. This line. And a little. That is. This is. Trains tend to go in group 4. Why my aluminum materials line has a priority group for lights. All you need is light control. We're still not be there. Should light up the whole line red. Set you up with a train that has packet. Sing. Big car. Stations set to unload. Have one available weight drop. One loader, weight 50. I've been fiddling around and I don't think the fully loaded, unloaded actually does anything ever. Because while you are docked, the belts do not deliver or remove any items from the station. But once you have loaded the stuff that's in the station, not full, you're never going to get full. So, are able to get to the station in here. If I inch forward by No. Should still be able to get to the station. Although I noticed one of our signs is yellow up. Guess I better walk the route first. And yes, indeedy, I see that there is a bit of rail that was lost. And up in the distance, I see a whole bunch of green signals, so we're going to go try to run the train again. So we off self-driving, or just turn on self-drive. Hey, Ray. So when you first meet Ray, he's way up in the sky, and like, I'll never build that high. It's our temporary turnaround. I've noticed that we have been running our factory now for an hour and 11 minutes. It is time to shut down the sinking of the aluminum products because I worry about our power. Oh, let's check the percentages. Like, just once over. Stalled. Oh no. Our water deadlocked. Water. How did that happen? Okay, so I don't particularly want to roll back. I want to keep that rail, but I think I'm going to have to return to the mergeless, because even this, which should have worked, doesn't. So clearly, this was not keeping this train, even though we saw it keeping it very well trained for a very long time. So at some point, it started failing and filled up the thingy. After so long of it doing, I think what's going to happen is I'm going to have to let this run. He just pointed at the fluid. Oops. What's going on here? Flushed this. Who is billing us a 6? Oh, we're only 40 cubic meters of storage. It could very well be there was that much storage back at these guys. I guess you have to flush twice. I didn't flush the whole pipe down. Just flushed what was it. So I had high hopes. Let's try it with the pumps. I have a prior commitment, so I'm going to have to duck out. But I will let this go with the pumps in place. See later when we come back. Basically. Okay, here are the steam notifications. All the testing that I did actually started with, let's flush the whole network. That should flush all the way back. Okay. And I'm not going to reset the timer because I'm going to cut the recording here. But we're going to check back in an hour and see what this looks like. I don't know how long this been dead. Could have been very long. Part that would remind me of see stuff. I will go back to base and grab concrete such. Now special stuff to toggle. And fluctuators are already full. Debugging. Okay, we're done. I will see you in the next recording.